Hey guys, hope you're well. If you're a student or a graduate and you're struggling to get interviews or you're struggling to convert your interviews into offers, this video is going to be super valuable for you. And I'm not just saying that, I genuinely think this could be life-changing for you, because we've helped a lot of students and grads and junior professionals to land really good jobs, like hundreds and hundreds of jobs. And 99.9% of you guys are making this really big mistake, and it's costing you interviews, it's costing you job offers, and it's costing you money. So, you might see I've got some things here on my board. I've got numbers 1 through 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then on the right side here, I've got some words. Basic, example, quant, cred, and scale. So what does all this mean? Well, job searching is very similar to sales. And why is it similar to sales? Well, a job is basically a subscription to your services, right? If you were going to be earning, say, $70,000 a year in your job, you're basically trying to convince the company, hey, I'm worth $70,000 a year and you should hire me. You should deposit $6,000 into my bank every month to have my services, right? And to do that, you need to convince them that you're worth the money. You also need to compete against tons of other people who also want that same money. They also want that same income. And ultimately, you're dealing with people at the end of the day. So you've got to persuade the decision makers at this company to give you an offer and to pay you that money. So how do you persuade people? Especially if it's through writing at the beginning. If you're writing a resume, you're sending a cold message on LinkedIn, you're filling an application form, you're updating your LinkedIn profile, how do you write in a way such that you persuade people that you're worth the money? And also, how do you talk to people in an interview in a way to convince them that you're worth the money? Well, let's go back a couple of steps. When someone's looking for a new hire, they're looking for an employee, they usually have a job that they need that employee to do. Let's just give you an example. If you, say a company needs a data analyst, and the data analyst is going to be responsible for analyzing data across the company using various tools. Maybe they use SQL, they're using Excel, they're using Power BI, maybe they've got to use Python or R. And they're going to grab data and they're going to turn that data into super valuable insights for the business to help them reduce costs, improve profit margins, improve revenue numbers, client acquisition numbers, or improve the customer experience. So that's the job requirement, right? Or the job description. So they're only going to want to hire someone who they think is going to be really good at that job, right? So coming back to the sales thing, what you've got to do is you've got to convince them that you are really good at that thing. And the truth is, when recruiters and hiring managers, they're looking through applications, they're looking through resumes, they're looking through cover letters, they're looking through LinkedIn profiles, what they're really looking for, mostly, is evidence to show that you're actually good at the job. And the person who has the most powerful evidence is the one who's going to get in an interview. And the people, say, out of the entire pool of applicants who are the best, who have the best evidence, they're going to probably get selected for the interviews, right? And then you have to also convince them that you're the best with the best evidence in the interview itself. Now, here's the mistake most people make. They don't have any evidence. Their evidence sucks, and they're not very good at selling themselves when it comes to getting a job. So for example, say there's a company who's looking for what we discussed before, a data analyst, to use XYZ skills to derive insights for the business, for management, and to help them improve their sales numbers, for example. Now, imagine on your resume, okay, this is going to be the basic example. Imagine on your resume, you've got a data analyst internship. And in the bullet point, you just say something like this: leveraged SQL, Excel, and Power BI to drive or to, derive insights. Okay? Now, to be honest, this is actually better than most people's resumes because at least this person is mentioning the skills and giving, I guess, just mentioning what they're looking for in the job, right? They're looking for someone who can derive insights using these tools. So this is like, okay, it's very basic. A lot of people won't even mention this. There'll be all of these clues in the job description and they'll tell you exactly what they want. And then a lot of people won't even mention any of the things they want in the bullet point. So to give this person credit, at least they've mentioned some things from the job description in their resume. But honestly, and you can ask this to yourself, how likely are you, or how likely is it that you are going to choose this person for an interview? If you're looking for someone who's really good at analyzing data using these tools, deriving insights, and they've just said this. Honestly, if we had to give them a score out of 10, maybe 3, right? Pretty bad. Why? Because there's no evidence here, really. No evidence at all. So how do we take this up a notch if you're writing your resume? Or if you're just interviewing and you want to make more powerful answers? How do you convince them that you're actually good at the job? Well, that's when you add an example. You just give them an example. So instead of just saying that you did this, which is just a statement, you could say something like, built a sales reporting system using SQL, Excel, Power BI to derive insights. Now, this is a level above. And the reason why is because you're not just saying that you can do this thing, you're giving a more specific example here. You're saying that you built a specific sales reporting system using this to achieve this. So out of 10, we're probably going to give this maybe a 5, okay? It's still not great, but it's better than that. And the reason is at least you're giving some sort of example. And to make this example even better, and this applies to all of these things, is just add more specificity. Keep it more make it more detailed. And I don't know where I heard this from, but I'm pretty sure I heard it somewhere. Specificity sells. Go and look that up and you'll figure out where it's from. Specificity sells. So the more specific you are, the more likely you're going to persuade someone. And I think the reason is because it's a lot more credible, right? If you tell them exactly what you did for a specific, what specific system you built with what specific tools, how you specifically did it, it shows them that you understand better, and it makes it more believable. So this could be even better if you said something like, built sales using Excel to derive, I don't know, maybe client churn insights, something like that. Just making this up. But just because it's more specific, that's automatically better. So that's example. Now these are a little bit stronger, but how do we take this to the next level? Well, this is where we have the quant. And what this stands for is quantitative. So ideally, and maybe a better word for this is result, ideally you include some sort of quantitative evidence to show that not only did you do this, but you're good at it, or it had an impact. that it actually made a difference. And it's kind of like if you were, imagine you're the head of this, like the school athletics team, and you're trying to pick your 100-meter team, right? And then you have a few candidates available, and one of them just comes up to you and they say, yeah, I've run the 100 meters at this prestigious event, and I ran really, really fast. That's something, but without the quantitative evidence, it's really hard to know like whether you should pick that person for your team, right? Like you don't know if they came first, second, or third. You don't know what the 100 meters time was. So adding some sort of quantitative element here is going to make it way more powerful. So I'll just give you an example off the top of my head. Built sales reporting system, SQL, Excel, Power BI, that reduced manual workload by 32 hours per month. And I don't know, maybe you add in here and identified opportunities. And again, this is off the top of my head. I think this could be better if we had a bit more time, and also we can refine each bullet point. But just to give you an idea, opportunities to reduce client churn by approx, I don't know, 10% or 11%, whatever the number is. And then maybe we have a dollar amount in here, like 8,000 per month. Something like this, okay, just off the top of my head. Now, this is way more powerful, right? Because not only are we giving an example that's specific, but we're showing them that we actually made an impact, that what we did actually was good. And what this does is it's evidence that we are good. If we just said we leveraged these insights, not much evidence. We just know they've done it, so they're better than someone who hasn't done it. It doesn't mean they're good. Now we've got an example that's specific. Again, it means they're probably better than this person because there's more evidence to suggest that, but this still doesn't mean they're very good, right? But now, built sales reporting system using these specific tools to reduce manual workload by 32 hours a month, and identified opportunities to reduce churn by about 11%. Now, like, this is a lot more credible because firstly, this person obviously knows what they're talking about. They know what system they built, and they know the reason they built this system, and they even remembered the results and they calculated the results that they had. So they're obviously very intelligent and understand the role data plays in a business, or in a business in this specific case, which was for the sales team. But it also shows that they're good, right? Because if someone wasn't good, they wouldn't be able to build a system that does this. You have to be pretty good to build a system that can do this. And also it tells the employer, hey, I could do this kind of stuff for you. I mean, imagine if I could reduce your client churn by 11%, or I could help your team save 32 hours a month. I hope it makes sense. So more powerful, I'm going to give this a solid A. Like, this is more powerful. And to make this bullet point better, if it's for your resume, I would just refine this a lot more because it's a bit long. But you get the idea. You could also use this kind of statement in an interview, or in your LinkedIn, or in your cover letter, or in a message. And you're going to have much more impact than, say someone just says, hey, what did you do in this job? You just say, yeah, I use SQL and Excel and Power BI to derive insights. Now imagine they ask you that question in an interview and you say this. 10 times better, right? Okay, so the next thing, this is when we add credibility. And what I mean by credibility, maybe there's a better word for this, is we want to think, okay, now like we've proven we can get some results here. We've proven ourselves a bit. But can we make ourselves seem even more amazing and even more credible by adding like additional layers of credibility? So what's an example of that? It could be that maybe you did this working closely with the CEO of the company, something like that. Or you worked with a specific brand, like maybe it was instead of just saying this, you say you did it for a silicon chip manufacturer. The CEO or the head of sales for a leading silicon chip manufacturer in San Francisco, or whatever. They probably don't even have that in San Francisco, but you get the point. So imagine this, the same as this, plus for a head of sales at a, let me say, Fortune 500 silicon chip manufacturer. Okay, so we're saying this plus this. And again, this is just adding layers of credibility to show that not only have you done all this stuff, not only has it actually, you've got an actual example, you've actually proven the impact and got evidence that's more quantitative, now you're also giving extra credibility. And I'm going a bit overboard here, to be honest. Like, if you were putting this in your resume as a bullet point, this would be a pretty thick bullet point, probably too big, but it gives you an idea about how you can sell yourself. Maybe you split it over 2 bullet points, or maybe you chop it down so it's only 1 or 2 lines, but you get the point. Someone who's done this at this company is more impressive than someone who's just done this, because this could have just been for a 1-person small startup that has no income. If it's for a Fortune 500 company working with the head of sales, and you're being specific and it's a silicon chip manufacturer, it just sends these signals of credibility. And obviously, I'm making all this stuff up, so you have to, don't make your stuff up. Actually think about your own experience and whether you can mention any of these things, the examples, the quantifying, the credibility. You don't want to make it up, but people have got way more powerful bullet points for their resume or their interview prep than they think. And this is just a way of helping you unlock those sales points. Now, so the last thing we can do, well, there's more we can do. This is the last one for this video, is we can add scale. So an example of scale, it's kind of just a way to bring more credibility. But now we can say, we can add in some numbers or some evidence of scale. So maybe we look up this silicon chip manufacturer that we, built this system for, and maybe they've got like $92 million in annual recurring revenue, or something like that, or just annual revenue, right? Or maybe there was you did this for like the head of sales, but he managed a 42-person sales team. So the more of these you layer in, the more powerful this gets. So now imagine you see this on a resume. There's like 500 applicants for this data job, but you see this guy who built a sales reporting system using SQL, Excel, and Power BI, reducing manual workload by 32 hours a month, helping to reduce client churn by 11% through identifying opportunities using data. They did this for the head of sales at a Fortune 500 silicon chip manufacturer with more than $92 million in annual revenue. Like, it's way more powerful, right? Even though this could have been the same guy. It's just how you sell it. So what I'd recommend doing, especially if you're job searching now, is go through all of the things that you've done in your previous work experiences, and then go through this 5-step process with each thing. So write down all the things you did, like leverage blah, blah, blah to derive insights, or built XYZ system to do this, or even serve all these customers to do XYZ, or did XYZ document, like whatever it is, write down what you did. And with each one, see if you can go, okay, can I give a specific example? Can I add some quantitative numbers here, evidence? Can I add some credibility here? Like, how do I show them that this was very credible? And can I add some scale here? Like, it could even be the size of the data set. Like, maybe it was a 6.2 million row database that you analyze. Like, whatever it is, I mean, it doesn't matter too much. But the thing you want to avoid here is saying stuff that sounds stupid. I've taught people this before, and they just start saying a load of crap, and they'll make stuff up. And you've got to make sure that your bullet points actually make sense. What you're saying makes sense, because if you just try and fluff this all up and make it sound crazy fancy, like way more fancy than it was, it starts to not really make sense because you don't really understand what you're saying. Employers are going to figure this out in 2 seconds, and they're going to turn you down. And also, be very specific about your numbers here and the evidence you use. Don't just completely make this up. This should all be legit. And if you don't know the numbers, just estimate. Like here we said approx 11%. Or you could say estimate 11%. Or if you don't know how much manual workload you reduced or you were able to reduce by, you can just say reduce manual workload by an estimated 32.5 hours a month. And you can just estimate stuff. Even if you don't know revenue, you could say an estimated $60 million company. Or, yeah, estimated 11% or estimated $8,000 a month. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. If you can apply these strategies to improve the quality of the evidence that you give, landing a job is a lot easier than you think.